My name is Chanel Goldson, and we're here with Getting Real with Real Estate. So today, let's talk about if are landlords all bad? So, that's a question we get a lot. Are all landlords bad? And the short answer is no, they're not. But you just have some that are bad, and there's some that are really, really bad that give a bad reputation for landlords. So I've been a landlord since 2015, and I absolutely love it. I love the folks that my tenants. They're like family for the most part. And when they're in our homes, it's their home. So I look at it as, yes, I am the homeowner, but this is your home. And so while you're here, this is your place, make it your own. So we have like a shared partnership. So even though, you own a home, but we're in this together. So that's how I approach being a landlord. And also there are other landlords, a term you'll hear like social investing. You have that when it comes to real estate investing. Social investors, and what that means is that they have like their cause is that they care about the well-being of their community, they care about the well-being of people, so they understand that they are landlords, but then they have an interest in making sure that they're doing it in a way that's ethical, a way that's dignified, in a way that puts people above profit. So I align myself with the social investing, and it doesn't mean, oh, you're a socialist. It just means that you care about the greater good of your community. So you can both can coexist. You can be a landlord and you can care about your community and care about your tenants, but there's definitely a balance. You have to always remember that this is a business. So we see, so many small landlords have to be, they're forced to sell to some of these bigger companies because they did not run it like a business. So what they did is, hey, just give me what you can, do this. I want to, barely pay the bills or just pay the mortgage. And then when taxes increase, insurance increase, things like that, they're not in a position, or something break down, they need a new roof or they're not in a position to make those improvements. And so what happens is they're usually forced to sell. So you want to make sure as a landlord that you're running your place as a business, but then that you're not neglecting your home and making sure that your space is safe and that is quality. That doesn't mean you have the high end things. It just means that we're going in. There's not mold in the bathroom ceiling. There's not ceilings falling apart, rat infestation. So you being a landlord means that if you have a place, you wouldn't want the place to be somewhere where you wouldn't feel comfortable living, right? So you want to provide housing that's, dignified, and that's quality housing, and that's safe. So when it comes to being like bad landlords, you get slumlords who do the opposite of everything I just talked about. They're not maintaining their property. They're increasing rents to the maximum capacity, and in addition to no improvements, they're not doing the routine maintenance to make sure that the housing structure is sound and safe. So then you're getting what you call slumlords. There's the rats running around, there's the roaches, there's the mold, there's the leaking, there's the sewer backup, all these different things, and they still want the rent, and they still are not thinking about the conditions and how the renters feel and how they're living, and how maybe mold is exacerbating their asthma or things like that. So unfortunately, those slumlords give a really, really bad name for landlords. And I know the bulk of the landlords, I know they're awesome landlords who care about their property, they care about their tenants. But then, I do live in a community where we have some mega landlords who there is some negative, they have a negative reputation for being a slumlord. And unfortunately, that gets taxed to all landlords, where all landlords aren't bad. So there are some great ones. And I know a lot of folks are getting to the point where they're encountering kind of pushback from smaller landlords where it's harder to rent where it was before. And that it's not because they're discriminating, it's just because they're fearful that, they'll get a tenant and they can't get out, or a tenant won't maintain the property. So it's kind of understanding that where their fear is coming from, they have to protect their asset. So some landlords aren't out to get you, but they are out to protect their asset, which is the home, which is a very expensive asset. But when it comes to landlords being bad, what are some things landlords could do to make sure that reputation, they're not living up to that reputation? what you can do, as I said before, think about if you had to live there, would you want to live in your own home? So you think about that, and you want to make your necessary repairs. You want to maintain a good working relationship with your tenants, in order to not be that bad landlord, to know that they can call you when something's wrong. So maybe it's a small leak, and then they call you. It could prevent a major leak. But if they think that you're a slumlord or a bad landlord that's not going to care, they're not going to call you, and then next thing you know, a small leak can turn into something larger. So another thing that a lot of people misunderstand when it comes to rent increases are, well, why is my rent being increased when my landlord hasn't made any updates in the last few years or last years or so? And what we're seeing are astronomical increases in insurance and taxes, anywhere from 50 to 60%. Some insurance companies are dropping individuals. They're making it harder to get insurance, and you're going and it's 2-3 times what you paid for with your other insurance carrier. So those increases are now being passed down to tenants. So in a rising cost of energy, rising cost of everything, we're seeing a trickle down effect. And even though you may not have any repairs, those bills are still there. So it's negatively impacting the landlord and the tenant. So that's something to really understand. So it's not like, oh, my landlord's pocketing all this money, but you have to look at how much has it increased to maintain this home. And then people say, well, it's their home to maintain. When you think about that, yes, it's their home, but who's living in the home? Are you living in a home, or is the landlord occupying the home? So you have to think about it. You're in the space. This is your home, even though legally the landlord owns it. You want to maintain your home, and you also want to pay what you need to pay to remain there. And then if a house is getting where it's not affordable, I always tell people make a plan to transition, because rents are only increasing. So you have to find something that works for you, because it can't be expected that you won't have a rent increase, because 9 times out of 10 we're seeing rent increases across the board to account for those rising costs and taxes, insurance, and home maintenance. So again, are all landlords bad? No. Are some? Yes. And you get that all around.